All right, let me show you how well we've been doing here and how we're going to print on this next leg higher. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. Boom. Okay, ready? Mr. Producer. Mr. Producer. We're going to start with this chart because, I mean, I just got to pat myself on the back, you know? Just pretty much have played this one exactly how we thought it would play, okay? So I'm going to start with a little bit different charts today, and we're going to go through some charts that we haven't looked at recently. So, others chart, okay? Why are we bull to the tits? Everything is priming, getting primed for another leg up higher, okay? So, for the past month or two, we started looking at this others chart. This others chart is the alt season indicator. This is altcoin. It's an alt season indicator. It's an altcoin chart. So this is others, total market cap excluding the top 10, okay? So excluding top 10 assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, USDT, Doge, all that shit. So we've noticed, what we learned this cycle, okay, what we figured out was these downtrends after these big pumps on altcoins, right, from the bear market lows, June 23, up only until March 24, okay? That's when Pepe, March 24, did its 10x. From 300 mil to 3 billion. Okay, this is the first leg up, big leg up on altcoins. Then we started downtrending. We respected this mid-range on the 4-year reaccumulation range, right? We respect these levels, so we pay attention to that. So we respect this downtrend, and eventually we broke the downtrend, so we get a pump off the lows, break the downtrend, basically front run that mid-range a bit, retest, one last little shakeout, boom, up only, okay? So we get this tag of the top of the range back in December, okay? So we didn't break out of this 4-year range that we set from 2021 cycle. So we tag it, we end up rejecting from it. Create another downtrend, same thing, and I said on stream, you can watch it, down into here, we tagged it here. I said, all right, this should be the last pullback. Come back in. This is the last final capitulation. This was on when everything G'd, when ETH was dropping to like 1,500, right? Everything G'd, everybody got afraid. We came back up into here, and I said, okay, here we go. We're getting squeezed in here. We're squeezing against this downtrend. As soon as we break this downtrend, I said, bid in here, because we're going to get a pop. What happens as soon as we broke the downtrend? Same as last time. We get a pop right up into the mid-range. So this is now resistance on the mid-range. We draw back. This is where you want to enter in again. Popped up again. This time, we bust through the mid-range, the 4-year reaccumulation range, pop up into here. This is where we were taking profits on some things. You know, if you were holding some altcoins from down here, you can take some profits up in here, etc. And then you pull all the way back, and look where I had this line drawn out. I had this line drawn out from this first red candle because I said, okay, cool, here's the start of the pullback. Who could have foreseen this? Pulled it straight back. I said, we're going to come back down in here. We're going to retest the mid-range because it goes from resistance, breakthrough, turn it back into support. Pop through, come back down, turn it into support, pump. So what do you think is going to happen here? Pop through, turn it back into support, pop, okay? So, where do you think you want to start buying your altcoins, your assets? Where do you think is a good time to start buying? I'm just going to give you some free alpha on stream right here. So, look at this. You can't make this shit up. Perfect tag on this morning, right? Perfect tag right on the mid-range. We got it. Bang. Got the tag, okay? So we might spend another day or two, you know, drifting down into here, or we might just start popping right there, okay? That's huge. So let me give you some context on this others chart. So this is the alt season or altcoin chart. So we were going over this weekend. I believe it was Friday night in the Discord. So we got into one of the voice channels, me and some of the gentlemen in the Discord. And for about 2 hours, we were just in the Discord charting, taking a look at things, seeing how we want to position, setting up some shorts, setting up some longs, making some trades. And I was showing the gentleman the significance of this chart. So yeah, we know that altcoins are probably going to fucking send after this pullback right here. Okay, it would just make sense. And this altcoin chart doesn't range really unless it was bear market. If you look at it, it doesn't range. It just runs hard as fuck, pulls back very hard. And then as soon as it's done pulling back, it runs hard as fuck again, and then it pulls back hard. Runs hard, pullbacks hard. Runs hard, pulls back, pull back hard. Okay? So this is a swing trader's dream if you're playing this properly. Okay? So if every single time it starts to run, it runs hard, and when it pulls back, it pullbacks hard, what do you think is going to happen over here? Well, it's starting to run. So do you think it's going to run hard again, or do you think it's going to start ranging sideways? Answer should be obvious. Based on the data, this chart runs hard. But here's what's the difference. So this 4-year reaccumulation range that all these assets are in crypto, except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, again, is the only one that's broken out of its 4-year reaccumulation range. Everything else from the majors, like Ethereum, Solana, BNB, all the major assets, and including these large charts, it's incredible the confluence between them all. Every single one of them is still in this 4-year reaccumulation range that was set from last cycle back in 2021, except for Bitcoin. So everything has a catch-up trade to be had once that rotation from Bitcoin into these other assets takes place. So on this move, this is why I'm under the impression that we're going to get the true alt season on this move. This move, when we retag this mid-range, okay, you retag it, and then what happens? You're going to shoot up. We're going to send it back to range highs. This will be the 1, 2, 3, 4th tag of this range high. Well, I would expect it on this move if Bitcoin's going to be in an aggressive price discovery and Bitcoin's above, 130, 140,000, 140,000. I expect this altcoin chart to finally break out of this range and at a minimum, rocket to this 1.618 fib. That's your alt season. That's when shit gets absolutely ridiculous. Now, you want to get really fucking fancy with this, or let's get bullish. You want to get real bullish with this? Okay, let's show you this then. All right, watch this. So we got 2 sets of fibs on here. So let me put this in a log, okay? Because in log mode, charts play better in logarithmic mode during a true bull run, okay? Which this would be. If this others chart goes to new all-time highs, that would only take place in a true bull run where there's exponential growth. Well, when there's exponential growth, you want to put your charts in logarithmic mode and put your Fibonacci's in log mode as well, okay? So what are we looking for? So we're looking for fib confluence. We're looking for targets on our fibs that are confluent with each other from the linear to the logarithmic fibs, okay? Well, here's your 4-year reaccumulation range, just like we were talking about. The 1.618, this is the linear 1.618. This would be the worst case scenario target. That would be the absolute most bearish, let's see, make sure I get rid of all these. That would be the most bearish scenario if we get a breakout. What's the next target? The linear 2.618 at $1 trillion market cap, okay? Now, these are big differences because this move from 255 up to 645, that's a 3x. Up to $1 trillion, that's what, almost a 5x, okay? But here's this confluence. Look at this confluence right here, okay? This is called fib confluence. The linear and logarithmic fibs have a point where they intersect or very close to intersecting right here. It is at this $1.3 to $1.36 trillion market cap. Why is it confluent? Because the logarithmic, the first fib target in the logarithmic scale is 1.3 trillion. And then the linear 3.618 is at 1.36 trillion. This would be your ultimate, this would be your confluence. This would also be your ultimate level to hit, okay? This would be best case scenario. Everybody retires after this bull run, okay? Let's do, now we can just leave it like that, right? So why is this important? So I would do full stack G at this level. Okay. So if this altcoin chart comes up into this zone, this would be my full stack G zone. Why? There's fig confluence. This would be a massive move. Things would be beyond heated up. That's when I would be getting completely out of my positions. Okay. So that's the confluence. That's how you look at targets. That's how you figure out, okay, what makes sense for a top on this chart if we really get the move that we're expecting. Okay. This is what I'm not betting on this, but if it happens, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm going to start with this target. This is the most conservative target, which is the linear 1.618. We get up in here. Okay. We reevaluate. Where are we at? Are we completely overblown, overbought? Things are pretty much topped out. Or by the time we get up in here, do we pause? Do we reaccumulate for a moment? Do we, range sideways before making a second move up into here? Right? Something similar to this where, this chart doesn't really range at all, but you basically get a pop up into here. You kind of pause out for a bit after breaking this mid-range, and then boom, you kind of hit this top, and then you come down. So it'd be something like, you shoot straight up. You kind of do something like this, and then boom, like that. Okay? That's what I'm looking for on this chart. Okay? Now, the way that you capture the altcoin performance is you got to pick the winners. You got to know which altcoins are going to outperform this next leg up. That's where the Discord comes in. That's where you got to know, okay, what's new, what's hot, what's been around, what's confluent with their L1s, or what's beta to the L1s, like the boys club. What are the things I got to hold so I can capture the meat of this move that's going to take place on altcoins? Okay? So that's how I'm dissecting. This is how I'm analyzing this chart. Okay? So I'm making a bet that this is going to break out to new all-time highs as we hit range highs again. That's what we want. Okay? So that's your others chart.